All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to VentureCat 2026. My name is Angie Mercurio. I'm the co-founder and CEO of NLab. We created the smallest electronics lab in the world that helps beginners, makers, and professionals build and debug real circuits anywhere. Our mission is to make hands-on engineering more accessible and affordable for anyone who wants to learn hardware, reskill into a new career, or just bring their ideas to life. Some of you might remember us from last year, where we advanced as the wildcard team and took home 3rd place and the Audience Favorite Award. It is so good to be back.
And I am Noah Edelman, the co-founder of The Neuron, which is one of the largest media companies helping people stay informed on AI. What started as a college project grew into over 700,000 newsletter subscribers, a top-ranked tech podcast, and was ultimately acquired by Technology Advice last year. You may also remember The Neuron from VentureCat 2023, when we advanced to the finals as the wildcard team and took home the Audience Favorite Award. I'm so glad to be here today, co-emceeing this event alongside Angie.
Well, thank you. VentureCat has been a huge part of both of our lives, but the best part is really seeing what happens after the prizes are handed out. For NLab, this was so much more than a competition. It's where we actually learn to sharpen our story and test our assumptions. That growth and the network of mentors here is what turned our idea into a real company. VentureCat is a massive launching pad, and I'm standing here as proof of that. Because of the momentum we built here, NLab is officially launching on Kickstarter 1 week from today. I'm especially excited to be sharing this with this amazing community because y'all believed in us from the start, and we truly wouldn't be here without the support of this incredible program.
The same is true for The Neuron. VentureCat gave us early validation when we really needed it. And the Audience Favorite Award meant the world because it came directly from people like you in this room. Since then, The Neuron grew into something none of us
possible without the support of our generous donors and sponsors. Software Startups, which offers AI resources for all skill levels.
With that, we're excited to introduce the next generation or joining us virtually. You'll have the opportunity to vote for the Audience Favorite Award after all 6 teams have presented. First up, from the Business Products and Services track is Hapti.
Hi, my name is Trevor, and I'm the founder of Hapti.
I'm Quinn, and I'm the head of product engineering at Hapti.
At Hapti, we build computer vision for inventory tracking in supply chain warehouses. Early on in my college career, I built lunar inflatables for NASA and spent months on manufacturing and logistics floors, which is how I discovered my love for supply chain. So I set out on a journey of over 9 months to tour manufacturing and logistics facilities across the country. What I learned is that almost everything you interact with today moves through a warehouse. More specifically, it moves in what's called a pallet. But when these pallets are lost, damaged, or forgotten in the corner of the warehouse for 6 months, they become waste. In fact, 8% of global inventory ends up as waste every single year. On top of that, $3 trillion in consumer goods is wasted annually. Meanwhile, 92% of supply chain executives report that they lack visibility into their own supply chain. And these inefficiencies hurt the warehouses themselves. In fact, a 2% mispick rate in one facility is a $3 million annual loss on average. One major mistake, such as putting the wrong pallet on the wrong truck, means 33% of the time your customer is never coming back. And inventory errors eat into 10% of annual revenue. That's because today, most warehouses run on people, not robots. In fact, only 10% of warehouses across the United States are considered fully or near fully automated. The reality of the industry is that most warehouses today run on a good old-fashioned paper, pencil, and clipboard. In fact, the picture you see on the screen here is a real pick list from one of our customer sites here in the Chicagoland area. You'll notice that inventory is tracked using handwritten notes and manual check marks, which means inevitably mistakes happen. So we created Hapti. At Hapti, we've built a computer vision system to stop mistakes and optimize the warehouse floor all in real time. We're a hardware-software vision system that knows exactly where your stuff is 100% of the time. And we're currently deployed in the Chicagoland area. In fact, the video you see on the screen here is video from our first deployment, where we make sure that when an item is placed on the shelf, it's placed correctly.
We track what item was moved, its path across the warehouse, its status, meaning whether it was a correct or incorrect action, when it happened, which forklift was used, and the video associated with it. We provide a complete audit trail for every item in the warehouse. We know exactly where something went wrong, and if a customer disputes a shipment, we have the proof that the warehouse got it right. We use this data to provide real-time inventory visibility, which means we can detect and prevent errors before they become a problem. We catch if something's placed in the wrong bay, or if the wrong number of pallets are loaded onto a truck. Beyond error prevention, we optimize how goods move through the warehouse. Because we know where items are placed and where the forklifts are, we optimize the pick order and where items get stored. This increases throughput and drives top-line growth. You might be wondering, how do we do this? Our hardware is purpose-built for the warehouse. Recent advancements in GPU technology allow us to run powerful computer vision models directly on the forklifts. No new infrastructure is necessary, and we mount in a matter of hours. We don't need to send any video to the cloud, which means we can analyze items in a fraction of a second. Because everything runs locally, our system keeps working even if the cloud goes down, and there's less exposure to cybersecurity threats. Our target market is third-party logistics warehouses in the US. There are about 4,000 of these warehouses, which gives us a beachhead market of $960 million. As we expand nationally across the US to the 22,000 warehouses, our market expands to $5 billion. And globally, the market is massive, with $43 billion available.
Hapti is the only solution today that delivers real-time visibility for inventory in warehouses. Unlike our competitors, we catch mistakes before they actually become a mistake. And eventually, robots might be running our warehouses. But before any of that happens, we need to have a real-time understanding of our physical world. That's what we call a real-time intelligence layer. And that is ultimately what Hapti is building. We are building the warehouses and the robotics of the future. And we've already gotten started. We're proud of the feedback we've gotten from our early customers. They've made it clear that our forklift-mounted computer vision system gives them real-time visibility into what's actually happening on the warehouse floor, something they didn't have before. Hapti's technology helps them reduce errors, save meaningful time, and lower operating costs. The VentureCat money would go towards accelerating our deployment and helping us meet our next goal of installing in our next customer facility. More specifically, we would use the money for R&D and to build enough device inventory so we could actually fulfill the demand that we have in front of us. We would also use it to pursue IP to protect ourselves and to put us in a better position for a future exit. I'm studying mechanical engineering and the Kellogg certificate here at Northwestern, and I previously led multiple NASA supply chain teams and hundreds of thousands of dollars in supply chain research.
I'm a sophomore at Northwestern, studying mechanical engineering with a robotics concentration. I've been building robots for 10 years, and I'm the industry chair of a cross-university research center developing advanced robot hands.
We're also joined by an amazing team of Northwestern engineers who've been working nonstop to make this vision a reality. Because with Hapti, inventory will never look like this: damaged, forgotten, wasted. Hapti is building a smarter supply chain with proven demands, real paying customers, and the execution expertise to deliver this product to an industry that's desperately trying to keep pace with modern demand. Hapti is poised to bring supply chain into the 21st century. Help us bring Hapti alive. Thank you.
All right, next up from the Consumer Products and Services track is Dose Up.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Aryan Kalavilla, and I am one of the co-founders of DoseUp, which is a GLP-1 transformation tracker. In the past 5 months, we've acquired over 11,000 users completely organically and have hit an ARR rate of 121K. But I think you guys would benefit from hearing the founding story, so here it is. So this is me, and last summer, I interned at this weight loss clinic at Northwestern Medicine. And here, I realized that there are a lot of patients, or I guess people, on this medication called GLP-1s. For people who don't know what GLP-1s are, it's more commonly known as, or at least that I knew it as, Ozempic. So these are weight loss drugs. But when I was volunteering at this clinic, the biggest thing that I saw were that people were quitting. And the biggest reason that they were giving was right here. I'm not able to see any progress. So then I did a little bit of research, and I found out that actually adhering to these medications is a huge issue. Over 31% of people quit within the very first month of taking a GLP-1. But then I met this patient, and I'll call him Marlon, and what Marlon did was super interesting. He had this notebook of every weight, every injection, every progress photo. He would log it physically to show to his physician. And the way that I like to boil this down is he would take his weekly injection, he would then log everything in a notebook, he would compare the progress photos, and he'd be like, oh wow, I lost 5 pounds. I can see the change. And this is what kept him consistent. And I like to call this the psychology of momentum. But this entire process took about 30 minutes. So I was like, okay, is there a way to streamline this, package this into a more condensed way so Marlon doesn't have to spend north of 3 hours every single week tracking his GLP-1, keeping him motivated? And so then I reached out to the smartest guy I know, one of my best friends from UT Austin. He put in $50, I put in $50, we both put in $100 total, and we started DoseUp. And what's interesting about DoseUp is its simplicity. So it hits on all of the things that Marlon used to keep track of his medication and to lose weight. So it's injection tracking, progress photos, and weight tracking. And when we first started doing product demos on TikTok, yes, that's the avenue we used. We got a lot of comments asking, oh, hey, what app is this? And then when we actually delivered, people loved it. So we got tons of positive, I guess mostly Gen Z comments. But when we tracked our users, what's most interesting is that without DoseUp, that rate of dropping off of a GLP-1 was about 30%. But with DoseUp, based on our churn, we found that that was around 12%, which is super exciting to see. Now let's put some numbers to this. So we've acquired over 11,000 users in the past 5 months, and we're monetizing through a subscription. So if you go on the app, you can get a 3-day free trial if you select the yearly plan. And that's converted to 121K in ARR, or about a 10.1K MRR. But what's most exciting with this is that we're riding on the GLP-1 boom. So we're growing at 55.5% month over month. And you may be thinking, oh, how did you get this many users in this short amount of time? The answer is right here, TikTok. So we like to call this our social growth machine. We are the #1 highest viewed GLP-1 app on TikTok, and we've gotten over 10 million organic views with 0 paid advertising. These are all creators, which is super, super exciting. And what this has led to is the app to trend globally. So we're trending in nearly 20 different countries, and this is all because our TikToks are able to go viral at scale. So we're able to replicate hundreds of thousands of view videos, and that has led to all of these countries to break into the top 100 consumer health apps in all of these countries. Apologies. But ultimately, why are we here? I'm going to bore you guys a little bit with the math, but so our annual recurring revenue is our views times our conversion times our ARPU times 12. So with 10 million organic views, we've gotten 121K in ARR. What this means is that conservatively, 1 million views is a 10K increase in annual recurring revenue. We spend about $1,000 to acquire 1 million organic views, and you can see we were paying our creators, and that's sort of like the method that we've used for user acquisition. And so without VentureCat, we would do okay. We'd reinvest 10K of our profits. That'd be 10 million views or about 105K increase in ARR. But with VentureCat, we have the opportunity to become the category leader in the GLP-1 app space. With 80K investment, with our current pipeline and our current conversion rate, that boils down to 80 million views on TikTok, which is about an 801K increase in annual recurring revenue, which is quite simply fantastic, hopefully. What will we do with the 20K? So a lot of comments on TikTok also, I'm sorry, I use TikTok too much, but have been asking for an Android app. And if you guys notice that graph or that map of the world, a core chunk of our users are actually international. So these users are not from the United States, which is not something that I expect. And obviously, in other countries, Apple is not the standard form. It's Android. That's more popular. So that's what we're going to do with the 20K. Lastly, the dream team. So this is me and my co-founder, Amin. So I recently got accepted into Feinberg's early med program, and my co-founder is really technical. So he's gotten an internship at Raytheon Technologies. But that's not important. What's important is that I'm able to do viral marketing at scale, and Amin is really good at viral product development. So on TikTok, if you show an app and that app doesn't immediately catch someone's eyes, you don't get any users. And I found that the hard way when I started my first app. And so then I wanted to make sure that I had somebody that could do this at scale. And yeah, that's DoseUp. Thank you.
Next up, from the energy and sustainability track is Edgeline.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Gibbons. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Gibbons, CEO and founder of Edgeline, and also a current part-time student at Kellogg. Question for you. What keeps you up at night? Don't worry, you don't have to answer that out loud at least. But for me, early in my career as a construction engineer, when a building foundation got poured in the wrong spot, I was personally out there with crews jackhammering out the concrete by hand. And believe me, I got some pretty nasty calluses and lower back pain to prove it. Years later in my career as a project manager, I was writing the checks for those same mistakes. Same problem, different type of pain. 10 years across commercial construction and renewable energy, and what keeps me up at night is worrying about if something's out there and it's in the wrong spot. Something we have to rip out of the ground and replace, and we just don't know about it yet. So that foundation in the wrong spot, you might be thinking, and rightfully so, does that really happen? And the answer to that question is yes. And that's what we call a clash, just putting something where it shouldn't be. In commercial construction, so think an office building, a high-rise, there's conceptually applicable software existing on the market. I used it every day for 6 years. But when I moved into renewables, I found nothing like it on the market existed. Nothing specific to renewables, when just different factors were at play, nothing existed to catch an error like this. An install on the wrong side of a property boundary. So, still might be rightfully so thinking, all right, with how much money is at stake in these projects, how in the world does that happen? Well, it's because projects look like this. Thousands of acres, dozens of permits, leases, real estate documents, environmental restrictions, all complex project documents reviewed by hand. Common practice is to compile these in what we call a constraints map, or a don't build here map. Some constraints specific to renewables, however, remain in PDF text, whereas others are still susceptible to a manual review process. And when errors slip through, costs can go through the roof if they're not caught. Now, here's an example of a common don't build here constraint. A fairly standard 300-foot offset from a surrounding building. Even when a constraint is drawn correctly on a constraints map, it still has to be reviewed by hand. When a constraint slips through, this is what it looks like. Solar panels installed inside of a 300-foot setback. This is what we call a clash. Catch this in design, it's a fix. Catch this in construction, hundreds of thousands of dollars to rip it out and replace it. Today, there's no firewall between design and construction. Nothing to automate the manual review process to prevent clashes like this from ever being built. So, again, also still might be thinking, well, how many smart people standing around a table looking at a map of all things could this possibly take just to do by hand? And if you do it by hand, is it really that hard? Well, that's the current process in the market. And what's shown on the screen right now is a screenshot of Edgeline's fully functioning prototype. Everything shown in blue is the footprint of the project, spanning over 2,500 acres of solar panel install. Everything in red is a clash. Every single one of those, the developer either didn't catch or spent hundreds of hours fully running to ground before ever starting construction. The pure scale of these projects and the manual review process is the gap. Now, this manual review process currently can cost upwards of $500,000 of design review labor alone per portfolio. That's on top of the multi-million-dollar risk exposure when a constraint inevitably slips through, whereas Edgeline catches them all for an average $60,000 a year license fee. Every caught clash is pure upside, on top of breaking even on design review labor alone. Now, play that out a bit. That translates into a roughly $60 million beachhead initial wedge market, comprising of roughly 1,000 renewable energy firms across developers, contractors, and engineers, multiplied by the average $60,000 license fee to get to $60 million. Play that out a little bit further, and applicable applications in the commercial and infrastructure world tallies out to over $1.1 billion. Now, you might still be thinking, okay, well, if it's that simple and there's a solution to this, well, why hasn't anyone done this yet? Well, the answer to that question is twofold. U.S. renewables has recently crossed a very critical threshold. Now the market is saturated enough with competition that solving complex pinch points is economically worth the time. With the market increased over 60% in the last 5 years to upwards of $120 billion in annual investment. That, and additionally, the AI and the LLMs have just recently matured to reliably interpret documents correctly. Now, my validation and discovery phase of Edgeline has really been over the past 10 years of my career. And after I decided I was just going to go solve the problem that has been driving me personally and my projects crazy, I interviewed over 20 plus industry professionals and got the same response, the same answer to the problem that I was already confident in. No tool does this, with 3 even describing the very concept of Edgeline without me even telling them what I was building. Edgeline is built and functioning. Currently in pilot negotiations with the largest privately held U.S. energy developer, with revenue expected prior to the end of the year. Now, I know I'm standing up here with a clean haircut and a collar, but I've got over a decade of experience in a pair of steel-toed boots and a hard hat. Enough time to know that this is a real problem and one economically worth solving. My background is the product. Team of 1 for now, with engineering hire up next. And that's exactly what funding gets me. Fast tracks engineering hire to get Edgeline from MVP to a polished product, gets me in front of customers, and covers initial operating overhead. Bottom line, Edgeline is a competitive advantage for renewables, lowering the risk and cost of building clean energy projects in an ever-evolving energy market. Edgeline is the, excuse me, the cause that this contributes towards matters. And that's why I built this. Because the faster we deploy clean energy, the better version of a world we leave behind. My name's Sean Gibbons, and this is Edgeline. Let's go build a cleaner world together.
All right. Next up in life sciences and medical innovations is HydroFlow.
Hi everyone, my name's Eva and I'm the co-founder and CEO of HydroFlow. Growing up with a younger brother who has a neurological disorder, I saw firsthand how these conditions consume families. I was reminded of this when my co-founders and I visited Lurie Children's Hospital, where we met a 10-month-old baby recovering from her third neurosurgery. She had hydrocephalus. We thought it was a rare case. It wasn't. Over 1 million people in the US today live with hydrocephalus, trapped in and out of hospitals, never knowing what comes next. Never knowing what comes next. We wanted to make a difference, so we founded HydroFlow. So what is hydrocephalus? Hydrocephalus is a chronic condition where cerebrospinal fluid builds up in the brain, leading to permanent brain damage, blindness, and even death. There is no cure. Instead, patients rely on an implanted device called a shunt that drains fluid away from the brain. A shunt consists of 2 catheters through which the fluid flows and a valve that ensures one-way flow. However, flow is often disrupted and the shunt fails. Shunts have the highest failure rate of any medical device in the market today, costing hospitals over $2 billion annually. And for patients, each failure means another neurosurgery. Meet Jennifer, one of the patients that we've spoken with. She's had over 100 neurosurgeries since her diagnosis. The core problem today is that once a shunt is implanted, there is no way of knowing if it's working or not, or diagnosing failure early and accurately. Let me show you what this looks like. Shunt failure symptoms are that of a common flu. Headaches, nausea, vomiting. So when Jennifer feels sick, she drops everything and rushes to the ER. She gets imaging, which is often inconclusive, so she then has to get more invasive testing, and in some cases, even surgery, just to find out if her shunt is working. 70% of the time, it's a false alarm. Jennifer just wasted 5 days of her life, and hospitals incurred tens of thousands of dollars just to find out that the shunt was working normally. And in the cases it is a true failure, 2/3 of the time, it's diagnosed too late. It becomes an emergency, high risk of complications, permanent brain damage, and double the hospital costs. All of this is just because we don't know whether a shunt is working after it's been placed, but HydroFlow changes that. We are developing a smart catheter technology with integrated sensors that monitors flow through the shunt in both at-home and clinical settings. As fluid moves through the shunt, it generates signals that are detected by HydroFlow's proprietary sensor technology and converted to real-time data on flow rate, sent to a physician's phone. So now when Jennifer feels sick, a physician can check her data. If it's normal, she avoids an unnecessary hospital admission, testing, surgery, and radiation exposure. And if it is indeed a failure, she gets surgery immediately. Lower risk of complications, morbidity, and hospitals save $90,000 per surgery. But HydroFlow isn't just an idea. We've proven that our technology works. We've been able to detect flow through a catheter using our sensor technology. As you can see, here is the data we collected on the right from our benchtop testing. HydroFlow has been validated by leading neurosurgeons who have stated that a smart catheter that monitors shunt flow would be a game changer for every life that hydrocephalus touches. We filed a provisional patent, established a regulatory path, and have been invited to present at the world's largest hydrocephalus conference in July. Now, you must be wondering who else is doing this. Today, no technology exists in the US market that monitors shunt function. There are, however, some in development. Today, HydroFlow is the only technology that provides continuous flow monitoring, pinpoints location of shunt failure, and requires no additional procedure or training for surgeons, as it simply replaces the current catheters used in a shunt system today. This gives HydroFlow a strong position in a large and rapidly growing market. Globally, our TAM is 1.6 billion. In the US, 76,000 procedures represents a 359 million SAM. And initially, we plan to target the top 80 US neurosurgery centers, providing a $94 million opportunity. We will be selling our catheters in kits directly to hospitals priced at $4,000 per kit, with a $60 per patient monthly platform fee. We recognize that selling to hospitals is difficult, so we've built HydroFlow to minimize friction from day one. First, we leverage existing reimbursement pathways, which limits delays. Second, we save hospitals over $18,000 per patient annually from reduced readmission rates, hospital stay, and emergency cases, providing a strong ROI. And lastly, HydroFlow ticks every box for neurosurgeons who drive hospital purchasing decisions. Looking at a path to market as a Class 2 de novo device, we plan to run 2 animal studies, a human safety trial, and a larger multi-central study. We anticipate FDA approval by the end of 2032, positioning HydroFlow for either strategic acquisition or commercial launch. The VentureCat prize would be transformational for HydroFlow and allow us to de-risk the company across 3 key areas. $75,000 towards product development would enable us to build and validate a prototype to scale and establish our data transmission and analysis algorithms. $15,000 towards IP would enable us to file a patent and establish a foundation for a long-term IP portfolio. And the remaining funds would go towards regulatory work, enabling us to develop a documented regulatory strategy and prepare us for our first meeting with the FDA. But ultimately, none of this is possible without the right team. Our team consists of 3 Northwestern co-founders with backgrounds in business, neuroscience, and engineering, and are incredible advisors, leading neurosurgeons across 4 major US hospitals and one of Chicago's most successful medtech entrepreneurs. And this brings us back to why we're here today. We're solving a critical unmet need in a large growing market by developing a highly differentiated, defendable sensor technology. By investing in HydroFlow, you're helping transform the lives of over 1 million patients and giving patients, like Jennifer, the quality of life that she deserves. Thank you.
Next up, from the social impact track, is Symbia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Raiden Yap, and I founded Symbia. A little bit about me. I'm a freshman here studying manufacturing and design engineering, but before that, I've been fighting climate change for the last 6 years. My water research got me to South Korea and the US. Later, I worked in circular economy, where I launched and sold a startup. The one thing here, though, you may notice in the previous photo, although I wore the same outfit in those photos, I care a lot about fashion and the way I dress, which is why it brings me so much cognitive dissonance when I make fashion choices, particularly for leather, one of my favorite materials. Whenever I think about purchasing a leather good, I think about the 53 out of 54 tanneries in Indonesia, where I'm from, that dump toxic chromium waste directly into local rivers, such as this one right here, which I see a lot of the times before going to school. So when I think about that purchase, and when millions nationwide and worldwide also do the same, they often think about restricting water from others, restricting a good quality of life. When I then explored the broader leather industry as a whole, it shocked me to find out the leather and cattle industries combined led to 13% of the world's global carbon emissions. Now, that seems wildly disproportionate to me, because leather in itself makes up 5% of all fashion, yet also causes 80% of the world's methane emissions. Which begs the question, can our leather be carbon neutral? I want the answer to be a resounding yes. That's why I built Symbia. I started Symbia in my junior year of high school, trying to redefine what it meant for functional sustainability to exist. And from there, we've now grown into a social impact startup that makes microbial leather made of recycled kombucha and bacterial culture. You may all be wondering, this is some drink. How does this happen? SCOBY, symbiotic cultures of bacteria and yeast. This little bacterial jelly that you see here is what gives kombucha its sweet, acidic, and fizzy feel. What's interesting is, when you take this bacterial jelly, we grow it in a container of any size you want for a couple weeks, dry it out for a few more days, it becomes a material just like leather. Like this, which is a wallet I carry around every day. What's interesting again is that it's reusable waste, it's carbon neutral process, and the fact that it can be grown anywhere and any time. To walk you through that a little bit more, it starts from the simple act of brewing tea, which I'm sure all of you have done here in the last week, unless you're a coffee person. Now, taking this, we then place the SCOBY and the tea into our fermentation containers and let it grow into a much larger size, like the 1 square meter measurement you see here, growing that out into leather. And we tried to make this entire process circular by looking at kombucha breweries in Indonesia and the US and taking their waste off their hands. So if I were to walk to a kombucha brewery or tea brewery, I'd be able to take their excess materials and feedstocks, move that into a more sustainable cause. However, I noticed coming here winter quarter that it's a little cold, and I can't really handle that, and so can the leather. At times, I noticed it would crack and delaminate, and that's exactly why I'm working with a lab at Northwestern to investigate its physical properties and improve our kombucha bioleather. We also hold, where this started, very dear. Since our founding in 2024, we've chosen to empower Indonesian craftspeople by giving free training programs on how to create this leather. We do so by visiting their provinces and going to places without a specific production niche and handing this option to them. We've then been able to incite job creation for over 5,000 craftspeople nationwide and have used their own strengths, like tenun and batik fabric, in which if you search up Indonesia, that might be one of the first things that come up. And that's purposeful, because we want to bring our culture to the rest of the world. And consumers worldwide are also noticing this trend. The global leather market is set to double by 2033, and the bio market itself is going to grow by 12.1%. The consumers are there. All we need to do is grab their attention. One of the ways we're doing this is by positively benchmarking ourselves as a high sustainability, high utility product, in which we measure this via our sustainability metrics, which look like this. We've conducted a life cycle analysis, understanding what our product looks like compared to other 3 key competitors: full grain leather, the top of its kind; faux polyurethane leather, what most fashion brands use; and cilium leather, a close competitor. We beat them all in terms of water, in terms of lifespan, in terms of biodegradability. The possibilities are endless. We've made jackets, sneakers, bags. If you can name it, we can make it. In terms of finances, we're also going to be very stable with a very low upfront cost of $8 per square meter, which is much lower than the initial $63, because our components like the container, the SCOBY itself, can be continuously reused. We hope to attack 3 key revenue streams, being product collaborations with fashion brands you all know and love, wholesale manufacturing directly to these companies to use our leather as they wish, and formal education and training, where we try to go to high schools, trade schools, colleges, and teach them this craft. And we've been recognized by every sphere our startup touches. The fashion side with Jakarta Fashion Week last November, sustainability through the World Water Forum, and science with Northwestern itself. We think VentureCat is instrumental to our growth. I'll also be here spending my summer full-time on Symbia, and together with that funding, I'll dedicate it fully towards R&D, manufacturing, and logistics to go through our timeline in which we want to go to market by this year, finish research, and have independent facilities within the next year. And I'm not alone. I have people supporting me with over 20 plus years of industry experience. And I hope you all can be next. Thank you very much.
All right, finally, our wild card is Restless.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming out. If we haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Daniel, and I am the founder of Restless, and we make a better for you energy drink designed to keep you in the fight. And in September 2024, I felt so called to start this business that I bet my entire life savings. Because this is my life. I had the honor and privilege of leading as a Marine Corps officer for 7 years. I got to make some amazing memories, and even better, I got to serve alongside some amazing individuals. But if I'm being incredibly honest, most days were incredibly difficult because the job itself is physically, mentally, and emotionally demanding. So much so that doing what was necessary often left us crashing. Like this. Let me introduce my best friend, Aiden. Aiden has just spent the last 4 weeks training in the desert. And the only thing he has to get him through his day are right by his feet. Gatorade powder to the left, and a coffee pot to the right. Absolutely inadequate solutions to get through this environment when you need proper nutrition and energy. But the problem is we have inadequate solutions, like energy drinks, quick fixes that often leave you crashing, nutrient blends that taste like dirt and you have no idea if they actually work because they hide behind proprietary blends. I see there's a couple nutrient blends people here, my bad. And supplements, complex and expensive. Even worse, you still need to operate in this environment despite the inadequate solutions, and this leads to some drastic health outcomes. And it's first going to express itself as sleep deprivation, which 76% of all service members face. This is going to lead to chronic cortisol elevation and ultimately poor recovery. The end result is the individuals crashing at the end of the day and breaking down over time. So, seeing no better solutions, I decided to create one. And 7 months ago, launched Restless, an all-in-one solution for energy and nutrition, designed for friends and family still in that environment to keep them in the fight. And because I'm coming from the military background and getting together with a food scientist and dietitian, this product is going to look a little bit different. We're going to start with crash-free energy with green tea caffeine. And then we're going to improve focus with cognitive enhancing nootropics, then enhance physical performance with things like beets and electrolytes. Then finally, we're going to provide nutrient support with things like antioxidants, anti-inflammatories, prebiotic fiber, and 23 vitamins and minerals. But if you look across the industry, most people hide behind proprietary blends and disingenuous claims. So I want to make sure people could trust me and not just what I'm saying, so I did 3 things differently. 1, we have a transparent label. Every ingredient is clearly listed on the back of the bag so you know what you're taking. Every ingredient is functionally dosed, that way you're not wasting a single dollar. And we're third-party certified for quality assurance, that way you don't have to take my word for it, and this also allows us to compete for government contracts. More on that later. Now, the idea of getting through the day without crashing is much bigger than just myself and my experiences, and so for anyone asking why Restless, the answer is obvious. It's because we're able to provide over $285 worth of ingredients, but remain hyper-competitive at less than $2 per serving, creating a much better product for our consumers. And like I said, this idea of getting through the day without crashing is much bigger than the military. And I know this because the energy drink market is worth $25 billion. Restless itself right now is poised to help individuals in physically demanding professions, military, first responder, and blue-collar workers. But we're narrowing our focus much smaller than that, mainly targeting active duty military and veterans, 26 to 45 years old, who are active and health conscious. By capturing just 1% of this market in 3 years, we can generate $2.4 million. We've actually already been tapping into this market already. Having launched 7 months ago, we have generated over $25,000 in revenue across 480 orders. And across all those orders, not a single one has been returned despite a 100-day guarantee. And it's working so well, we are starting to develop organizational partnerships with organizations like the Marine Recon Foundation. We've been sponsoring their athletes since January, and not only does this give us incredible brand validity, but also gives us access to their over 300,000 member community. In addition, we are currently being evaluated for a government contract. Within 6 months, we could be directly supporting 70,000 service members. And I'm so excited to do this because it means we get to help more people, because I've also already heard what Restless is doing for individuals. And people love Restless. We actually got so much good review. Across 136 reviews, we're currently rated 4.9 stars. People are saying things like they can continue to do hard things. It is the only thing they will take with them to the future operating environment, and they're already canceling their other energy drink subscriptions for Restless, which I love. But we have a lot more people to help, and to find them, we're going to continue building organically like we have since day one. Namely, starting Instagram, where we've organically already gained 10,000 followers. This has allowed us to really jumpstart our word of mouth, referral-driven growth, and we're going to continue layering upon this by developing organizational partnerships to create an effective customer acquisition flywheel. But like I said, there's a lot more work to do, and I'm not the only one going to be doing it, even though I'm coming from the Marine Corps, have led 1,800 individuals demanding environments, and current Kellogg MBA student. But I'm incredibly excited to bring Jack on the team. Not only is Jack bringing a marketing experience from his previous startups, but he's also in NROTC at Northwestern, meaning he'll be entering the military upon graduation, the community we are directly trying to help. But we have one big problem ahead of us, and that's inventory, because we're expecting to grow 40% month over month. Going into Q3 this summer, we're going to do brand activations, really getting in front of people, and then scaling through the holidays where I'll sell out my remaining 1,800 units. Now, because I'm a bootstrap business, I can't afford the next round of inventory until I sell out. And there's also a 15-week lead time to get the next round. Also with this problem, we've heard one thing from customers, and it's that they are crying for single-serving packets. That way they can take Russells to them anywhere. So we are seeking $100,000, $80,000 to buy the next round of inventory, and $20,000 for product development. This way we can continue building upon existing opportunities which we've already established, and increase our ability to distribute Restless, because now I have individual packets to hand out. But regardless, I'm incredibly excited to continue building Restless for all the people who can help, not just my friends, family, and people like Aiden, and the 10 and 15 people I've actually made forced to drink Restless, so thanks y'all. But the millions of individuals living a life of service for us. Thank you.
Let's hear it one more time for our 6 VentureCat 2026 finalists. Woo! Woo! Now, it is your turn to weigh in and choose the winner of the $5,000 Audience Favorite Award. Scan the QR code behind me or head to vote.venturecat.nu to cast your vote. You'll only have a couple of minutes to decide, so choose wisely, because you only get one vote.
Okay, good. Okay. All right, everyone. The votes have been tallied and the results are in. The audience favorite taking home $5,000 is Restless. Congrats. Woohoo.
Where do I go?
Here you go.
Okay.
And now we're ready to announce the grand prizes. Coming in third place and winning $25,000 is Restless.
Woo!
Yeah, your photo.
Wow. Woo. Awesome. All right. Oh, go ahead. Awesome. And in second place, winning $50,000 is Hydroflow. Congrats!
Congratulations.
Woo! Here you go.
And finally, the VentureCat 2026 grand prize winner, taking home $100,000, is Hapti.
Woo! There you go.
Congrats, guys.
Wow. Oh. Awesome. Ooh. I don't want to be photographed. Congratulations to all VentureCat 2026 participants. The level of creativity, drive, and execution we've seen today has been incredible, and this is only the start of what's ahead for all of you.
Thank you all so much for being with us today.